Hi, in this video we are going to talk about time series decomposition. When we talk about time series data, a time series data has several components within it. Now if you take this particular graph that you're seeing over here, it is an Amazon revenue forecast and net income data set, Amazon revenue and net income data set. If you see, the blue line is the revenue and the orange line is the income. Let's focus on the revenue part, that is a blue line. If you see this particular graph, there is a continuous increasing trend over the year. This data set is from 2005 to 2019. Now, if you see over the years, Amazon revenue has been constantly increasing, and this is what we call trend. There is a positive trend in this data set. There can be a negative trend as well. Some companies may be going into losses, so they may have a negative trend as well. So first is the trend component. Now within the trend, like you can see also seasonality in a business. Now in case of Amazon, you can see these peaks every year. So basically, if you go and zoom down in the particular graph, which we'll be doing in the next one, you can see there is a seasonal flavor as well. So during the December and Jan month, basically the sales are pretty higher due to holiday season or due to post holiday season. January, typically the holiday season spills down till January. So you can see there's a seasonality as well in a business, and that's where the seasonal component is there. So I spoke about trend component, I spoke about seasonal component. Now some business, while this graph does not have, some business might have a cyclical nature. So the difference is basically when you talk about seasonal component, the seasonality is repeated and fixed for known periods. So I know in this case that every year end my sales are going to be higher. But when you talk about cyclic, they are also repeated, but there are non-periodic fluctuation. And some business which are dependent on more like commodity prices and everything might have some cyclic business nature as well when it comes to revenue. Because when the steel prices goes down, and for some of the companies, steel might be a raw material, their profit margins might hit. So there are multiple factors that come into play. So cyclic is another component of it. Now, what time series decomposition is? The time series decomposition is a statistical technique that reconstructs a time series into several components, which I spoke about. It can be your trend, it can be your seasonality or cyclic nature, it can be your noise. Right, once you the noise or residual, what we call, right now, if you it's a reminder in the time series after all the other components have been removed. So when we are decomposing it, we will remove the trend component, we will remove the seasonality component, but the removal may not be perfect. You will not have a perfect model that can remove it. The balance is called the residual. So these are the different components of time series. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see how we can decompose a time series. We will also learning about some of the nuances that comes into play, like additive model, multiplicative model, and how to find out whether it's additive or multiplicative model. Right, that's what we are going to see. Now there's one more concept called stationarity. I will do is I will also update I will also kind of walk you through how we can find if a particular time series is stationary or not. So what I'm doing is, I'm taking the same data set. This is an Amazon review data set. I have already loaded it. It's in my GitHub repo. You can also download it online. It's available everywhere. It's Amazon revenue and profit data set. I have already kind of loaded it, and then let's move on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a more like animated chart so that I can drill down and see it better. So what I'm doing, using Plotly Express over here. In the Plotly Express, I am passing the data frame. I am passing like the x-axis of quarter. Basically, this particular data set is split by quarter. So every quarter I have revenue. If you see over here, I have like 3103. I have the revenue and income. I have like for 3112 I have revenue and income. 09 I have revenue from income. This is 2020. This is 2019. So I have every at quarter level. So my x-axis is the quarter and y-axis is revenue. And what I have given is I have given a slider so that I can zoom in. And I'm also kind of splitting the data by 1 year, 3 year, 5 year bucket and whole bucket. It's similar to how you see the stock prices. So let me run this. And then if you see on the stock price ticker on any of the financial website, you will see this 1 year, 3 year, 5 year ticker. And this is how it is. I have a slider in the bottom. And if you see over this particular part, basically the increase, the seasonality increase has been pretty constant till 2009. But in 2010, there's a slightly higher peak, and then it has been constant. And again in 2014, the peak has been higher. And similarly, if you go, the peak has been increasing over time. and this is what we call if a time series is stationary or not. In this case, if you see over the year from 2005 to 2010, the time series has been mostly stationary, but after that it has not been stationary. Now, why is it important for us to know whether time series is stationary or not? Now, if you take the AR or MA model, AR is auto-regressive and MA is your moving averages. Now, Harima model is a combination of AR and MA model, right? I will cover in detail about Harima model. That requires time series to be stationary, and most of the time, real world data, they are not stationary, and they are also governed by deterministic trend, and they might also have a deterministic cyclic nature or a seasonal component. Now, in order to remove this deterministic component, what we do is we decompose all these components out, and we try to make this trend stationary as well, so that we can feed into simple ARIMA models, right? Now, in this case, okay, I can see maybe it's not stationary. It has been stationary for some time, and then see, when I say stationary, there are two concepts. The stationary is basically that the seasonality can be stationary over a mean, right? And in that case, there is no trend. But in this case, it's trend stationary because it is having a trend. It cannot be stationary over a mean, stationary over zero, right? But it can be stationary over the trend of the data. And that's what I'm trying to find out here, whether even though there's a trend, is the peaks or seasonality going to be stationary? That's what I'm trying to find out. Now, while I see it's not stationary, but I want to do some statistical test and understand whether this is stationary. And for what there is, there's a test called KPSS test. Let me go down. So it's the KPSS test that is this particular package is available in the stats model tool of Python. And what the KPSS test does it helps in determining if a time series is stationary around a mean or a linear trend. So whether it can be stationary around a mean, that means there's no trend in the data, or it can be stationary around the trend line. So in this case, the null hypothesis is my data is stationary. The alternate hypothesis is my data is not stationary. So that's what we are going to run. So what I'm doing is I am importing this particular stats model package KPSS, and then I'm passing the revenue from my Amazon data frame on the top. And then what I'm doing is I'm telling CT. Now let's go into the KPSS documentation quickly. Now C is the data is stationary around a constant. In this case, we know there is a trend, so we cannot use that function. CT is the data is stationary around a trend. So I need to use this because I have a trend in data. I am telling that give this parameter CT and run a statistical test to validate it. Right. So let me run this and let me run the output. Now, if you see the output over here, basically I got this particular thing, and I basically got the output, and then I'm displaying the output. The first is the test statistic. The test statistics is 0.17. Now these are the basically your thresholds: 5%, 1%, 10%. Now if you see this 0.17 is basically greater than 2.5. That means basically it is the null hypothesis is rejected over here. Our data is not stationary, right? And that's what we can get from this particular data. Now, rather than going with this, you can also go with the second column, which is the p-value by itself. And the p-value is 0.02. So if you are having a 0.05 threshold, 0.02 is less than 0.05. So we exactly know that basically the data is not stationary. Now, KPSS is a test that can tell whether data is not stationary. If you're not able to identify in some complex cases with your naked eye that whether it's stationary or not, you can run this test. You can also run an ADF test, which we'll cover in my next video, to find it stationary or not. And it's always good to run multiple statistical tests, both KPSS and ADF, and then take a call in case if there is some doubt. Now what we'll do is now we will start proceeding to the decomposition part. So now if you see, again, I'm going to use a stats model package called SM, which has the seasonal decompose. We know that seasonality, so I'm going to use a seasonal decompose. Now the seasonal decompose, one is we pass our data and then we tell what model we want. Is it multiplicative or it is additive? Now if you see on the additive, this is the formula. Additive is nothing but a combination of trend plus cyclic plus seasonality plus your residual, right? That's what the error term or the residual term. Now the multiplicative is nothing but the same thing, but it's a multiplication factor. It's like trend into your cyclic nature into seasonality into your noise, right? Noise or residual. Now from the top we saw like our data is not stationary, right? Trend stationary. So when it's not trend stationary, then what we do is we use multiplicative factor. If it was stationary, we will use additive, right? And I will show like what this formula exactly means by the output. Now, a additive model is appropriate if the magnitude of the seasonal fluctuations, we saw like there was a linear trend, and the seasonal fluctuations do not vary with the level of time series. That's when we use additive. Now, since ours is non-stationary, in the case we use multiplicative model, and multiplicative model is appropriate if the seasonal fluctuation increases or decreases with your level of the time series. That's the main difference, and that's why what I'm doing is I'm giving here model equal to multiplicative, and then what I'm doing is I'm taking this the output results, and then I'm doing a plot, right? So let me run this. Now what is happening on the top, you see over here I have our actual time series value. Now this actual time series value, this is the observed value, is broken down into trend, and you can see the trend, that is an increasing trend. It's broken down to seasonality, and we know our data has a seasonality, so there's a seasonal component. And then finally we have the residual, which is the nothing but the error term or noise term. That is kind of the difference from the observed value and the trend value and the seasonal value, because we didn't internally read and regression model. So you may not have, may not find a perfect fit, and that's why the residual it is plotted over here. So you can see like basically these are the three components. Basically our top time series data is decomposed into trend, seasonality, and your residual. The cyclic nature is most of the time built into your seasonality component itself. In this case, we don't have that. So basically, we are not seeing anything in the seasonal component, right? So what I can do is I can take only the trend plot. I have the result output. I can take only the trend plot and then plot it, or I can take only the seasonal plot and plot it, right? In the trend plot, you can see by from 2005 to 2019, Amazon review as an increasing trend, right? That's what this tells. Now what I'm doing is I am printing the observed value. So what it will do is it will give the actual observed value. When I say the response variable that I've given to dot observed, it will give the entire observed value, which is the actual time series. The observed value is nothing but our actual revenue that we saw. So I'm printing it. Similarly, I can print the trend component that the decomposed model has identified. You can see there's a trend component. The initial values will be null, because what it does is it internally is going to do, and to find the trend, it's going to do a t-1 t-2 analysis. So for the first two value and last two value, it may not find it. So there is a trend component as well over here, and there is a seasonal component. So these are the output that is provided over by the model. Now what I told you is basically it's a multiplicative model. Our observed value, right? Our observed value is nothing but the trend value into seasonal value into the residual. In case of additive, if it was additive model, it is trend plus seasonal plus residual. If I combine all this, I can reconstruct my observed value, right? So let's see from the output. Now I have the output, I have the residual trend, residual seasonal, and then finally I have the final residual value. These are the three values. Now if I multiply all the three, I should be able to get the original value. So let's see if I am able to get it. So first I'm taking the observed value, which is my actual data 69981. I'm taking only one instance of it, right? And then what I'm doing is I'm multiplying my trend into seasonal into residual value, right? For the same like second instance of it. So if once I multiply it, this three should multiply back and match it. If you see here about 69981 and 69980.99, if you round it off, it is 81. So this is basically your multiplicative factor. Now, why do you need to decompose it? Now, one of the thing I said is your AR and MA model works better if the data is stationary, right? It works better if you detrend it. That is way to basically run with the trend. But when you detrend it, your model performs better. Or when you remove the stationarity, the model performs better, right? So in this case, what we can do is we can take the particular trend that we have got, and if we kind of divide that trend with the observed value, we will get a basically detrended value, right? Now again, why I'm dividing it? Because I am multiplying to reconstruct my value. In case of multiplicative, I am dividing it so that I am able to detrend it. But when you take an additive model, since I'm adding the trend, I have to subtract it. So if it was an If it was basically an additive model, I will do an observed value minus trend value. But since it's a multiplicative model, I'm dividing it. Let me quickly show you that when I divide this and plot it, how that output looks like. And if you see the output over here, the output is basically completely constant. There's no more trend available. The seasonality is captured, but there is no more trend available. So the data is completely detrended compared to the earlier one. If you see on the top, the data had an increasing trend. But here the data is completely detrended. Now I can use this and fit an seasonal ARIMA model, or even go for a simpler moving averages, everything. What I can do is, once I have the output, once I do a forecast, I can go back, I can fit a regression model to my trend output, and then I can take the coefficient and multiply it along with that trend component to get my original value I projected. So that's one way out. I will kind of go into detail of it once I get into the ARIMA model. But this is a decomposition. This is a very key concept. One you need to understand on how to detrend the data. There are other ways to detrend as well. You can just take a previous time lag and then subtract it and detrend it, which I will cover as we go in the next video. So that's about it, this video. Thank you very much.